I'm singing. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now.
Hey everyone, Assalamu alaikum, it's Ahmed Sham here, and this is the review of the Lenovo Legion Y530. The successor of this model is the Y540, and it's being sold with the 1650 or the 1660 Ti. But what about what's in the middle? This model right here has the GTX 1060, and it's a last year model, but it doesn't make it an old laptop. Let's put it to the review and see how will this laptop perform as we are approaching 2020. So first of all, let's start with the specs. This is the model with the i7-8750H and the GTX 1060. It comes with 16 gigs of single channel RAM, but you can add another 16 gigs to get 32 gigs in total and benefit from dual channel performance. The storage comes at 512GB SSD, and no hard drive was in the device. Plastic is the main build material here. There is no aluminum dick or screen lid, and the palm rest is covered with rubber-like material that is so smooth and comfortable. But it still shows fingerprints all over the place, except the back cover and the back of the device where the ports are. The back of the screen is textured with circles centered at the letter O of the Legion logo, and they make such a wonderful sound too. Sorry about that, but you had to know. From the right side, there is an air vent, the power indicator, the recovery key, and a USB 3.1 port. From the left side, there is the headphone jack and another USB 3.1 port and another air vent. From the back, there is the larger air vents and the rest of the ports. You can find the Kensington lock, the power input, Gigabit Ethernet port, HDMI port, mini display port to display content on external screens with resolution up to 4K and refresh rate up to 60Hz, and lastly, the USB Type-C port, which can be used to connect to an external display too. The charger that comes with this laptop has a power of 170 watts, enough power to charge the battery while using the device at the same time, but the battery is a weak point for this laptop, as it can keep it working for about 4 hours to 3.5 hours on medium usage, like browsing the net or watching YouTube videos. The device weighs about 2.2 kilograms without the internal hard disk, and the power brick weighs another 650 grams. So, when you're traveling, you'll be carrying a total of about 3 kilograms. At the first glance of seeing the device, you'll think that it's too big for a laptop. But when comparing it to other 15.6-inch laptops, you'll find that it's very similar in size, and even shorter than some of them. The dimensions are in the description below. The hinge design allows the screen to go totally flat at 180 degrees, and they are sturdy and well built too. They can keep the screen still even if you push it with a little force. And all over build quality is good. There is no much sacrifices here. The trackpad uses Windows Precision drivers. It supports gestures using up to 4 fingers, and it has separated right and left buttons, which are loud when you press them. But I noticed delays when using the trackpad right after booting or when switching between gestures. I don't know what is the reason, but it goes back to normal after about half a second. The keyboard has 2-stage white backlighting, although the camera may show it as blue in some scenes, and the typing experience is very comfortable and satisfying, because the spacing feels just right and the keystroke isn't too shallow. Typing on this keyboard is a great experience overall. The thing that you might want sometimes to get used to is the location of the numpad, because it's somewhat flying over the arrows, and it's missing the enter key. The Legion logo on the back of the screen has the Y letter glowing in it all the time. Unluckily, you can't turn that off, unless you turn off the laptop. Let's move to the screen. The panel is IPS with 60Hz refresh rate, though 144Hz option is also available. But unlike the 1050 Ti model, this panel has the great sRGB coverage, which is 93% versus 61% in the lower model, and has 3000 nits brightness versus 250 nits. The viewing angles are great as you can see, and the panel is covered with matte layer. The most noticeable thing is the very narrow bezels, except for the bottom side, which has the 720p webcam. The speakers are tuned by Harman and supports Dolby Audio. They aren't the loudest and the bass isn't really there, but the highs and lows are clear and audible. This is how they sound.
I hate all this overthinking. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started. Get me out of now. Where we started. Get me out of now. Where we started.
Let's go performance-wise. The cooling system consists of two fans on both sides of the device, and the cooling vents are shown below, covered with a metal mesh. And a so much Lenovo thing is you can't control the fan speed. All you get is the auto fan curve, which has 4 levels, and the maximum speed, which can be activated by holding Ctrl, Shift and the number 1, and it won't turn off until you press the same combination again. When the device is idle, the fans stop completely, but they occasionally turn on for about 3 seconds and turn back off. This is a strange behavior. As a result of the auto fan curve, if you start a heavy task from idle, the CPU can reach up to 92 degrees before cooling down to the 80s. The warmest part of the device will be the bottom center of it, with no problems at all using it on your legs. Now to the benchmarks. The SSD used here is a Western Digital Blue NVMe 1. With 3360 MB per second read speed and 2470 MB per second write speed. This performance is too similar to the Samsung Evo 970 with 3500 and 2500 MB per second for read and write speed respectively. I'll upload this simple video on how to upgrade RAM and hard drive for this model. Stay tuned. Testing the CPU rendering capabilities using Cinebench R20. The i7-8750H single core score was near 400. That's 30 points below the average score of the 9th generation. And running at 4 GHz clock speed, that's 100 MHz less than its full clock speed, which is 4.1 GHz. Undervolting didn't make any improvements here, as the CPU could reach high speed with no heat problems. Testing all 6 cores without undervolting, it scored 2417 points, while running at 3.9 GHz for all cores for about 28 seconds, then the clock dropped to 3.11 GHz. The temperatures was 74 degrees and 70 degrees Celsius respectively. After undervolting, the initial clock speed was the same, at 3.9 GHz at the same 74 degrees, but then it dropped to a higher frequency than before, which is 3.56 GHz at 73 degrees, scoring 2810 points, which is what this CPU should get. Testing the GPU rendering capabilities using Octanebench 4.0, the GTX 1060 with 6GB of visual RAM scored 92.18 points, running at 1868 MHz clock speed at 63 degrees Celsius. When I used max fan speed, it didn't have much improvements on the score, as the clock was 1885 MHz, but the temperatures dropped to 53 degrees. As for the gaming benchmarks, all the games was tested on Full HD resolution and with VSync turned off. Testing Assassin's Creed Odyssey with the integrated benchmark, the Y530 was able to get 33 average frame rate at ultra settings, 44 on high settings, 48 on medium settings, and 52 on low settings. It couldn't reach past 60 frame rate except on low settings, where the maximum frame rate was 62. I'll be focusing on the average frame rate, and if you want to compare other settings and counters, just pause the video at that part. Running The Witcher 3 on ultra settings, the Y530 managed to get average 44 frame on ultra settings, 58 on high settings, and the frame rate then pumped to 78 on medium settings and 86 on low settings. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is a less demanding game. On ultra settings, the average frame rate was 55, maxing to 60 frames at some scenes. The average frame rate on high settings was 60, and on low settings was 72. Testing Battlefield 5, the results were too close to what we got on Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The results from ultra and high settings are too similar, getting 56 average frame rate on both, and 72 on low settings. The last game I tested is Far Cry 5. I was able to get 60 frames average on ultra settings, 70 on high settings, and 80 on low settings, increasing about 8 frames from each one. As for the temperatures of the CPU and GPU, the first 6 rows are the CPU temperature in different scenarios, and the last 4 with the orange color are the GPUs. First row is the CPU temperature under stress test using Intel XTU without undervolting, which was 88 degrees Celsius. Undervolting reduced this temperature to 83. While gaming and on stock settings, the CPU temperature reached 86 and undervolting helped to reduce it to 81. On rendering scenarios, the CPU temperature can reach 75 on stock settings and drop to 71 after undervolting. Keep in mind that the idle temperature is 44. For the GPU, while gaming and on stock settings, its temperature was 72, and after undervolting, both CPU and GPU temperatures dropped, with the GPU running at 67 degrees. While rendering, the GPU had no issues running at 63 degrees and using max fans dropped to 54. Okay, final conclusion. The Y530 with the GTX 1060 manages to get nearly 30 FPS on ultra settings at Full HD resolution in the most demanding games, while approaching the 60 FPS average in less demanding games like Far Cry 5 and Battlefield. It is a good choice if you plan to do 3D rendering or video editing, as you get some powerful hardware inside, keeping in mind that the RAM is upgradable to 32GB. Also, the screen is pretty decent if your work depends on color accuracy. Of course it won't match a Mac Pro display or something, but keep in mind the price difference and that this is a gaming laptop. Thank you guys for watching, that's it for the review. Don't forget to thumbs up the video if you liked it and to subscribe to my channel to see the upcoming videos. See you on the next one.